Welcome to the Mound Visit podcast on the Top 100 Sports Network. I'm Casey Honigbaum alongside, as always, the former 13-year Major League veteran, former All-Star, Jason Grilli. And we're going to tackle a couple of the hot topics today that are going around Major League Baseball and give our thoughts and let you know what we think. We usually shoot out a little live video right before we start recording, so if you want to hop on that, that's on @GrillCheese49. That's Jason Grilli's Instagram account. So we have people shoot us some questions on there that we like to tackle during the show. And you can also let us know on our social media platforms if there are any topics that you'd like us to discuss. And we like to try and have some guests every once in a while too. So those are pretty cool as well. We had Drew Maggi on a couple weeks ago, so definitely check that out. And the way to do that is you could find that on our Top 100 Sports Network YouTube page. That's where you can watch all of the shows. And if you just want to listen to the show, you can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on our social media platforms. We post some clips on there as well. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those at Top 100 Sportsnet. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome back. May 31st, the last day in May, guys. We're already blowing through the year, and another Mound visit to bring you up to speed. It's Wednesday. We're taking a minute out of your Wednesday hump day. Oh, God. Casey's having some.
My God.
It's a good fumble right there. Bad hop. You caught it. Recovered. You still got the out. Microphone drop. And we're just exploring the fascinating world of baseball and the stories that are hot topics today. So we invite you to join us as we chat with players, the coaches, and experts in the field and delve into the history and strategy of our national pastime. So grab a seat, grab your coffee, get a hot dog. I don't know what time of day you're at right now. But if you ain't working, you're watching us. Thank you for tuning in. Lots of subject matter coming in. I started my Instagram live feed, and a lot of hot topics here this morning. But I want to start out with a fun subject. What were you doing when you were 16, bro? Because there's a kid out there, 16 years old, cracked the egg. Kudos to Ethan Salas.
Yes.
I don't know.
Big round of applause.
Is he really 16 or is he 19? I don't know. Do we have that? I don't want to taint the kid's great story.
No, he's 16 years old. He was the consensus number one international prospect for 2023. Padres gave him a $5.6, I think, $5 million signing bonus. So he was the big ticket. So I guess, there's a reason that he's progressed through the minor leagues as quickly as he has. Well, I mean, he's in A-ball, but as a 16-year-old, I was playing JV baseball when I was 16. So
yeah, I was learning how to drive, man. That was the biggest thing. This guy can't even drive. I don't know if he's getting an Uber ride or a coach is picking him up. His roommates drive. I was drafted at 20, and I didn't have my driver's license I had my driver's license, but I had a fake ID. It got taken away from me out in San Jose when I was in A-ball with those guys coming up. And I looked like I was 16 when I was 20. And I got kicked out of the bar that I was trying to go hang with the fellas. I wasn't old enough to drink. And this guy's got 5 years before he can, technically do it. Somehow I have a feeling he'll get his way. And I hope he stays clean and stays true, because it's a long road, man. And I want to see nothing but good things from his kid. And like I said, born in the United States, I got to believe that birth certificate is right.
Oh, yeah. And
I want to believe truth, justice, and the American way. This kid's a stud already, man.
Yeah. Right? It is. It's insane. He also, not only, was he promoted to single A as a 16-year-old. In his first at bat, he laced a double. Great piece of hitting to the opposite field.
3. He looks like he's calm. I read his comments that he wasn't nervous at all.
We touched on Ethan Salas. That's a crazy story. But I think you and I talked about it a little bit before we got on the air here, but a topic people love to debate is the Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge debate. And I think it's gotten obviously more prevalent the last few years because of, what Judge has been able to do offensively and defense. I mean, he's a great center fielder. But I think all of that sort of comes at the expense of not realizing what Shohei Ohtani brings to the table in terms of his value. And let's face it, he's an alien, right? I mean, what he's doing, you and I talked about this. Haven't seen it before.
No, he's a freak of nature among freaks of nature. It's you and I were talking about how do you quantify something that's never been done.
Right.
Technically, I mean, Babe Ruth is this comparison, but Babe Ruth did it for a short stint.
Sure.
More known for eating hot dogs and slamming 714 taters.
Right.
This guy is striking out more people than he's striking out himself at the plate. So, what quantifies an MVP nowadays? A lot of things, but I don't know if it's consistent across the board of what categorizes a Cy Young a winner as opposed to an MVP. Yeah. I think, I don't know, was it Verlander who won both the MVP and the Cy Young?
I believe he did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. But again,
I think Kershaw did it too, if I'm not mistaken. I think Kershaw's won an MVP. I'm not. I got to double check that, but you're right. Verlander did win both.
I think he got both awards. Yep. Piece of the hardware on his mantle that year. But I think the Detroit Tigers too were in playoffs and went to the World Series, maybe that year too. So
yeah,
and I'm not up on my current events because it's been in the past here. We're rewinding the clock a little bit. But yeah, to go back to is Judge an MVP? Absolutely. To the Yankees, what he's done. He's very deserving. If you're going to go head-to-head matchup, there's no co-MVPs. You don't share the trophy. It's who do you pick as a winner? Yeah. Again, is it if these two teams do not contend, who's a better player? Who's the most valuable player? I'm my opinion. I'm not short-sighted of what Judge is doing and what his value is, but I got to sit there and go. Ohtani's touching the ball. Almost every play, especially as a pitcher. Can he play the outfield? Yeah, he can play right field or center field. Sure, he's got an arm, but you're not going to wear this guy out.
Right.
He's just a freak, man. So if I have to just go, in my opinion, and I'm maybe a little biased, and how are the writers? Are they biased? Are they a Yankee fan? Are they an Angels fan? Are they of the same bloodline? I don't know what goes into all these variables, but that's where I think there's got to be something that kind of levels things out.
Yeah. I think what you said is interesting too, because obviously at this point everybody knows he's pitching and he's hitting, but I think and if you're doing that, it's amazing in its own right that you're able to do both at the major league level and be consistent doing so. But not only is he doing that, he's doing that at an MVP caliber, at an elite caliber on both sides of the ball.
Every year so far.
Yeah.
Every year.
Exactly. I mean, he's got a sub-3 ERA. He's got an 850 OPS, which obviously Judge has he's got a 1 OPS, but he's just hitting. And I have to believe, and this is, this could be a whole nother conversation, but I have to believe that if Shohei were to pick one, say he just focused on hitting or say he just focused on pitching.
Just being a DH.
Right, exactly. I have no doubt that, he would be right there in terms of statistics on either side. But the fact that he's doing both,
I'm curious, though, if a writer just looks at a pitcher just like, you're just a position player on the field. Really, you're just a player on the field. So I guess if you have to level the playing surface somewhat, you have to look at it objectively like that or subjectively, whatever the case may be. It's a great argument. I'm glad I don't have to do that because, like I said, I would want both of them on my team.
Well,
how about that for an answer?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's the easy.
There's $1 billion worth of players for two guys. There you go.
Yeah. Do you think this is do you think that because this is the whole argument is another part of the debate is that God, I'm really beating my microphone up today. There's a whole nother part of the debate, which is the fact that Ohtani is this is the last year of his deal with the Angels, so he's going to be a free agent. And now what do the Angels do with this? Because you've got this guy who is an alien, and he does things that could. I mean, he could help any playoff. I mean, he could help any team. But you think about a team in playoff contention, he can help you from both sides of the ball.
Usually you build your core around a couple key players. You got a key player already with Mike Trout.
Right.
I mean, everybody's talking more about Ohtani now than Mike Trout. Dude, I played with Mike Trout. Yeah. One of the best players I've ever played with.
Yeah.
To me, knowing how an organization works, I went to spring training this year in Arizona to see a buddy, and I went to a Rangers-Angels game. Ohtani's jersey was being sold for $7,500 signed. All right? Like, I don't know who's busting out. I'm going to go get a beer and nachos, and I'm going to bring back an Ohtani jersey for my son at $7,500. You know, just to write your name on a damn. Where's his value, bro? It's that's what I said. Like, freak of nature.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of a guy like that off your team? It's going to be a scrutinized thing, and bringing TV ratings. Again, sidebarring, we'll get into it, but the San Diego Padres have collaborated with MLB to increase the fan base. So where all this money is coming from, it ties into what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Where all this money's coming from is the networks.
Yeah.
Sure, the fans buy the hot dogs and the tickets and whatever, but fans, if you don't realize that media is driving the price tags of being able to pay these players' salaries, that's where the big money's coming from.
Right.
Keeping the electricity, the lights, helping pay the electric bill, and some of the salaries for the vendors and the people that work real hard for $15-$20 an hour.
Right.
You're helping those guys out. The guy that washes your seat, and if you don't pay that guy, if you go to a game and you don't tip the guy that cleans your seat, the usher or whatever, come on, clean it up. All right. Yeah. I had a guy, I tipped him $20. We went to the Blue Jay game, and the guy wiped it down. I gave him $20. He was like, "Thanks, man." I go, "Yeah, you're working hard." I mean, come on, we got to help each other out, especially in today's day and age. The guy's working there for a couple of side bucks, and he needs it. So if you're a fan and the guy does that, give him a couple bucks, buy him a beer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Buy your friend a beer. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's my plug for the usher guy.
I love it. I'm sure
let's go.
That's right.
Take care of people take care of you. But yeah, the networks, going back to Ohtani, man, we're sidebarring a lot here, but to pay a player like that, I mean, you're in a big market.
Right.
Why the Angels haven't won? The guys, I don't know where he ranks as far as wealthy owner, and I'm not going to tell an owner how to spend his money.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand how to make money with a guy like Ohtani on your team, come on, dude. You're going to give up a big chunk of your asset there to go. And I don't know how that ties in. Ties in, but
it's a fascinating debate because you're right. You have Ohtani on your team. You have another generational talent. Arguably, he might be the best hitter player we've ever seen by the time his career is over in Mike Trout. Just in terms of his track record and his career trajectory and where he is amongst other players, the stats line up. But you have two guys like that, and that's the question every year with baseball fans, and it almost gets exhausting because you're like, why is this team not in the playoffs? Why are these guys not being showcased on a national stage every single year? And I think it all comes down. It's just been you played for the Angels. Like you said, you played with Mike Trout. I think from an outsider's perspective, it's just been a mishandling of the roster management, the roster resources, what they've done. It's all been mishandled. You've gone from you signed Pujols in 2011 to this massive deal. Obviously, Pujols is amazing and a Hall of Famer, but obviously that didn't work out. Then Josh Hamilton, you get another big contract.
You got Pujols at the second half of his career, not when he was in his prime. Big name, obviously Hall of Famer.
Right.
But when you measure guys like two electric guys that are still right in their the sweet spot of when they're going to do, facing damage. I faced Trout when he first came up. I did punch him out, by the way.
There you go.
In a big situation, bases loaded, I punched him out. I think he worked me a 3-2 too, and I threw him a slider to get him out. But would I want to face him now? He developed himself into one of the greatest, like you said, arguably one of the greatest. And I got a couple of jerseys signed by him because I'm like, dude, what a player, what a friend. But they haven't even Angels have one of the oldest stadiums, I think, now.
Yeah.
Too, right? So you sit there and you go, all this is happening, big market out in LA. It's not the Dodger market, but it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, I guess you got two New York teams. The Yankees always win out on the bigger. Not that the Mets don't spend. The Mets like to spend.
Oh yeah.
And again, are these billionaire owners or a group of owners? Because sometimes it is a media company. I think there's an Atlanta-based company that owns the Rockies. Atlanta media company that owns the Rockies. Is it a tax write-off or you're trying to win? You know what I mean?
Well, so that's a great segue into what could be our next topic here, because it was something interesting over the weekend, and I wanted to ask you your thoughts on this, because especially as a former player, and maybe you could put yourself into the shoes of, and maybe some people know where I'm going with this, but maybe you could put yourself into the shoes of, you could put yourself into both sides, a fan and also a player of the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shaping up to be they're already the worst team in the league, for sure. They're on pace to be the worst team of all time. Their run differential right now is negative 199. We're only a third of the way into the season. I mean, it's crazy. But as a former player, when you look at that, and no disrespect to any of the guys on that roster, because they're all...
No, one of my friends is on the roster, Jace Peterson. One a good friend of mine. I played with him in Atlanta.
Yeah, but they're all professional baseball players. But I think for the most part, the majority of that roster are guys who either aren't ready or maybe aren't good enough to be playing every day in the major leagues. But yet the A's refuse to spend money. They refuse to put a product on the field that is capable of winning baseball games. What is that? What do you think about that as a player or a former player?
Here's my opinion. If I was commissioner, everybody says a salary cap. We charged salary cap since players were making money. The first $1 million player, people are like, oh my God. Now we got guys potentially making $500 million or more coming up. Yeah. You're never going to cap something. I don't think any business, this is the business cap going on here, my opinion about it. You're not going to cap a pizza shop from making more money if they figure out how to do that. Okay. Sure. But there's got to be a ceiling floor, a floor. If there's going to not be a ceiling, there's got to be a baseline to say, you guys spend $100 million to keep some core players. Because if you're a feeder team, let's just say, my goal, if I was on the A's, play good enough to hopefully get traded to get picked up and get on a championship team.
Exactly.
There's going to be a player who gets picked up or traded at the deadline, which is, play great for another month and a half, right? You might get traded and you go from being a bottom feeder to I got a chance to get a player share and a championship ring.
Yep.
So when you're on those kind of teams, there's a lot of heart. People sit there, I don't want to go watch them. Dude, there's a lot of guys giving their all right now. And I'm going to give kudos to my guy, Jace Peterson. We'll have him on the show at some point. But, there's got to be a bottom, $100 million, right?
I think that's more, absolutely.
What's the bottom? I think that the owners got to come together and be like, come on, let's clean this up. Because it pisses off the fans. We're talking about the same subject matter. I want to go to a fight when I'm watching UFC. I want to go see, or a boxing match. I want to see two guys that are in the same weight class. It's like we sit there and go, there's the same weight class, there's the same division. You don't go to a high school baseball game and go watch them play the junior high, or you go watch them play the 8th graders. Right. When you're, so why are we trying to do that in the big leagues? Right? Why are we allowing this competition? And again, how that's all to say, it's fair competitive balance. Well, I think you start with competitive balance that, listen, I got a boatload of jerseys. I've shown you. I've played for 12 different organizations. That was exhausting in 20 years. I would have liked to maybe shorten that to maybe half of that, to know that I was able to play with a couple guys a few more years, or develop some relationships, or try to help a team win a little bit longer if it was going in the right direction. But and it's not to say that maybe I wasn't helping a team that year. That's why I ran myself out of there. But the point being, if you sign a contract as a free agent or whatever, and you hope to say, hey, the organization's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I could speak on the Pirates when we did that, right? A team that doesn't really spend money. We all know that.
Yeah.
We won despite that.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, 2013.
Yeah.
And I can't tell the owner how to spend money, but to keep the ball rolling, you got to come out of pocket. There's guys that do want to play. For example, I can speak to Oakland. Great fans out there, by the way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable fan base.
Exactly.
Always loud, always into the game. So I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
In the sense that they go, I used to remember when I was a Blue Jay fan and the Oakland A's were, a badass team with Eckersley, Canseco, McGuire, all those guys, Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
And then back into the 70s when they won 3 championships.
It's so weird because they're a storied organization. I mean, they won 3 straight World Series in the 70s. That's not they're not a nobody organization.
And I never liked pitching in Oakland because, like I said, they got guys there that ball out. And I don't know what the formula is, or it's just you have that grinder attitude. We don't have the best. We don't. Maybe they're fired up because they get a bad spread table and they're like, hey man, I'm not eating a cheeseburger tonight. I'm going to get that filet mignon, right? Play better and beat the Yankees tonight. But you get a little chip on your shoulder when you're not treated equally or fairly. I think in any sport, any business situation in life, right? And we sit here and expand upon it. You can sit there on the field. It's like, do we relate to our superheroes? I relate to the Incredible Hulk. That's why I got them everywhere, right?
Yeah.
What player do you model after, your game after? What do you see in a player? Look at, Liam Hendricks out there, the fan. That's a whole other thing.
What a story.
The guy that's been through something on a personal level, and we root for the person and the player, right? And so we tie all these things into baseball, man, that we relate, or we don't relate, and there's all this hot topics and hot buttons and sensitivity and what we think and money. It's all the things that we go. But our pastime was meant to forget about life and politics and some of these subject matters that we are personally contended with in our own lives.
Yeah.
And now it's just a whole big chicken soup of a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's a whole big mess now.
It's frustrating because, not just to bash on the Oakland A's, but it's weird because you've got them on one end of the spectrum being this team that refuses to pour money, or a front office that refuses to put money into the team. And for a while, it was working well because they were so great at developing players. You had Matt Chapman and Sean Murphy and Matt Olson, Marcus Semien.
All those guys, the pitching staff that they had. I mean, they were a team, man. The Zombies. They're always Oakland was never a team that you just go, we're going to roll over on them.
Right.
So to have that subject be at the forefront of conversation, tip of our tongues now, to go look at this could be the worst team ever.
Yeah.
It's crazy just to think that.
And that's the wild part is that they are already. I mean, they're on pace right now. Obviously, they're already, like I said, they're already the worst team statistically. But usually, when you think about 162 game season, especially for teams that are struggling like this, their team ERA is almost at 7 right now, which would be the worst ever in the history of the game of baseball. But usually these things don't get better over the course of a 162 game season because you've got injuries, you've got guys start to struggle. So it really it's.
Hey, but here's the good news for them. I gotta say, before Houston Astros were the Houston Astros that we know now, I remember when Bregman was just coming up and the teams there. I was like, "Whoa, dude!" We knew we were going to beat them because they were young, they were wet behind the ears. It just was a bad vibe.
Yeah.
And I remember that Sports Illustrated article saying, like, "Watch out for the Astros."
2017 World Series champs,
right. So, but a couple years prior too, I was like, you knew you were going into Houston to roll over the Houston Astros.
Gotcha.
They were young and all that, but they had a plan, and like I said, it was known. I mean, if it's in an article, and then the article, it wasn't just talk; it became real.
Yeah.
What is the Oakland A's or any of these? The Pittsburgh Pirates. We throw some of these teams that are And my Blue Jays, man, they're the last place, a great team in a tough division.
Yeah.
That's the heavyweight division, man.
It's
but you throw teams going like, look at the Pittsburgh Pirates are second place.
Right.
They got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays when they came into town. It just shows you the level of competition in each division, and teams really stack against each other, and how each division has to build. And then, not to say that any team can't be beat. Just who gets hot at the right time, and who has the caliber of players, and how teams rally around each other, and the clubhouse chemistry. You start throwing all that soup to nuts in there. The fan base is behind you. You're coming to a full ballpark because you got something to play for. You look at like the Tampa Bay Rays. Are they selling out with a team that they got almost 40 wins? They're not even probably packed house there.
And that's the other. That was what I was getting to
side,
earlier.
Right?
It's because it's the other side of that spectrum where they're another team which their player development is out of this world, and they develop these players, and then they're like, okay, bye, and they trade them or they let them walk in free agency.
Incredible.
But every year they are right there.
They got a
competing for the division, right?
Something special there. I would love to know. It's like the KFC secret recipe. No one knows who has that recipe, but I feel like the Tampa Bay Rays have something that's.
But But isn't that almost? It's almost equally as frustrating, because I think about this from a fan's perspective. It's almost equally as frustrating when you see a team like that have the success that they have. Because then it almost is like incentive for these other teams, where it's like, well, if the Rays can do it and not spend money, then why can't we too? But it's like, you're not the Rays, and this shouldn't be the blueprint for every team.
Some guys don't care enough about it. It's just no different than, hey, man, if I bought you a car, my brother, if I bought you a car out of my own pocket, I bought you my dream car, my Bronco, my vintage Bronco, and I gave you the keys and said, you're like, Grill, what is this? Just a present, man. I want you to have it.
I'll take it.
Are you going to take care of it the way I would take care of it because I bought it?
Right.
Or are you going to take care of it like the way, well, I didn't put that hard-earned money behind it. So if we value something that much, and I'm going to throw it back to these owners.
Yeah.
These wealthy owners have a care or not a care. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they inherited the team or they bought the team.
Right.
I don't know if they like baseball or they're just in it because it's a paycheck and it's a
part of their portfolio.
They're getting money. Some of these teams that are bottom feeders are getting money from the Yankees and the Dodgers and the this and the that, because the Dodgers are out to win. The Yankees are out to win. All these top 10 teams in the league really want to win. There's that middle section. We'll throw the Rays in there. Teams like that are trying to win despite maybe a high payroll and coming out of pocket for whatever we need.
Right.
How do we fix that? I guess we don't. We just sit back and watch and talk about it and say, yeah, we see it. My eyes and my ears are seeing the same thing you guys are. And then being on the inside of it, I know the frustration as a player. You're like, dude, there's 5 steps. You want to get drafted. Mm-hmm. You want to make your big league debut. You want to become an everyday player. Then you want to get paid. You want to get that contract to secure your spot that I'm going to play every day, because going up and down, bouncing around, that's tough. I did that. And then winning is like your last thing. You try to get that ring.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 steps that I think every player wants. But it's funny because when fans say, oh, this guy, left his team or free agency and took the money. Well, dude, if you're trying to win and you already have money or you're trying to make that big contract to go to you can't, as a fan, you can't blame them. You really can't, because you do it as a fan too. We're talking about it as a fan too. Would you jump ship and trade your ball cap and your jersey if hey, at least I have a chance to win every year? Look at you and your Mets, man. I know being a Mets fan is very frustrating.
That's an understatement.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a blue ball experience right there. 1986, right? We got 1979 here in Pittsburgh. I'm rooting. I can't wait to see the Clemente Bridge sway again. But what has to happen to do that? A lot. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just salary. It's the product that's put on the field. Yeah, salary backs that.
Yep.
Luck is a huge variable.
Yeah.
Getting hot, having confidence, and that's really the biggest thing. Is are you confident of what you're putting on the field? Whether you're in the front office, and whether you're drafting guys like our homeboy there we just talked about, Mr. Salas, Ethan Salas, you're confident in giving him $5 million. Why? Because you think like he's going to be a impact player down the line, right?
Yep.
Let him develop into something special, and what a position to hold as a catcher to control. I know that's a big piece. Russ Martin was a big piece for me individually as well as playing with him with the Pirates.
Yeah.
So yeah, just there's a lot of variables that go into it, Case, as you know, and I don't know. Like I said, then there's things that knock you down.
Yeah.
You see, look at these distractions too that come into play. Look at what Kershaw's dealing with, and who's the other guy we said that had.
Well, there's Trevor Williams had something. Anthony Bass. That's a whole But I mean, it's interesting
from the winning too. It's something like that. It can kind of deter a team, derail some things. It's distractions, and you got to eliminate all that to win, and which is the goal, and that is the product. That is what as a fan you go. I want to go if I'm watching one game or a weekend series, or I'm buying a season package, a 20-game season package to go. You want the team to win every time because you want to feel like what's the saying? We won, they lost.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, we won. You won or the team won?
Right.
See how people they
But you feel like a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
We won. Right.
Yeah.
But they lost. Nobody wants to lose, man.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to lose. So if you're wearing rocking an Oakland A's cap or that, kudos to you, man, because that's really knows a fan, a diehard. I know people around here bringing out Pittsburgh Pirates, breaking that out. It's fun to see again, even though we're only in second place. Come on, guys. Ever since we had our buddy Drew Maggi get sent down, right? I don't know. I'm rooting for him, so that's why I got to give him props here.
Absolutely. I think a fun way to end today's episode, and you talked about the Incredible Hulk, obviously one of your inspirations. So I want to bring it back to the movies because this is and it works because we were just talking about the Oakland A's. In my opinion, I feel like the last great baseball movie that we had was Moneyball, and that was 12 years ago now, I think, just about. So I want to ask you, it's a two-parter, but what's your favorite baseball movie? And then what do you think, in your opinion, is a great story that could be turned into the next great baseball movie?
Ooh. My first question is easy. Bull Durham is the most real to life baseball movie that's been made. I don't find some of the other ones, I find a little hokey. Obviously, Field of Dreams is one and 1A, 1A, 1B. Field of Dreams would be 1B for me. It's a catch.
Well, you and your dad, that's such a
catch with your dad. If you don't love baseball, understand that having a catch with your dad, stepdad, or whoever's your father figure, to everybody included, baseball. That's what that means. That movie. What real to life story? Jeez,
it's a tough one.
Listen, I'm Forrest Gump, right? I kind of kept some notes with some of the stories because I wanted to remember. And some of them are PG-13, some of them are rated R, and I won't throw any names out under the bus. But I do have a friend who is a TV and movie writer from Hollywood, and he moved back here. His name's Kevin Smith. He's out here at the University of Pitt, right? He's a professor up there in the communications department. He brings me into his classroom sometimes and talk to the kids. They ask me questions in the sports world. It's pretty cool. But I ran into him. I met him. His son was working out at the same facility. And I saw Seton Hall Prep. He had Seton Hall Prep. We struck up a conversation. He's like, "Oh, I just moved back from L.A." Long and short, I met him for coffee, and I laid out my papers and notes and notebooks of things that I wrote. Wanted to remember because I forgot a lot of stuff and stuff I need to forget. It's not my life anymore. But if I ever need a chuckle. So he helped me write what I thought. I didn't know if it was a funny book, a movie, or what. So I did it. He looked at it. He started laughing, and he was reading through my notes and everything. He goes, "Jason, you got a Netflix series on, like what, like Eastbound and Down kind of stuff. Because Eastbound and Down was kind of funny, like season 1 getting into season 2, but it kind of tapered off.
Sure.
I think they ran out of the baseball theme; it became more of the comedy thing there. But I think there's just a serious side, a lighthearted side, a feel-good side. If you can combine all the Bull Durham with the Entourage, with the Wizard of Oz, with Eastbound and Down, I think if you can take those 4 pieces and make something good, there's a lot of great stories within baseball that don't even get publicized, or things about your teammates and things that go on in that clubhouse that will never be revealed. It's just like, I'll leave it with the Mr. Rogers neighborhood feel good thing, right? End on a high note. We never know when you cut somebody off what they're going through, and if they're flipping you off, having a little road rage, or be careful what you say to people, because you don't know. So when you're booing somebody at the field, or you're telling some player he sucks, is he able to take that? Yeah. I've had 30, 40,000 people boo me, but they don't know what I'm dealing with on a personal level of why I'm having a bad week, a bad day. Someone could have passed away, got in a fight with your significant other, your kid's sick, you're up all night. You don't know, man. And it's like looking through your lens of why you're having a bad day. It's like, hey, man, elevate, validate, dominate, celebrate. That's kind of the thing I go through during my days. Like, everybody needs to be elevated. We all need some validation in some respect, being a good person and whatnot. But we like to watch domination go on the field, and we love watching that champagne celebration, even if it's not our team winning that year. Right? Because we know that team, they had the right formula to put together, and the longevity of going from spring training, which is 32, 40 some games, days. You're playing 162, and then you're trying to win 11 games to get that championship ring. I don't know if you get a month off, less than a month off before you start working out again to do it all over again. I did it, and kudos to those who can do it, who try to do it, who've done it for one day in the big leagues, right? John Ratliff and some of the guys that fought for that glory, the Drew Maggi story. We all want to be there. And if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. And guys that are able to get those repetitions and master it to the level and the degree that they are to make themselves a Hall of Famer, even for a moment, right? I think we all try to find that superhero or that player that wears that jersey, and we want to be like them and feel like them and win that day. Well, go out and win your day, man. That's my advice. I got a pond I'm trying to build out here so we can have a pond party. In case you got to get your ass here. I've exposed you to chicken wings, but you haven't been to the Turnbull Ranch here in Pittsburgh. Right? And we'll invite, maybe we'll do a Facebook Live broadcast when you come here live.
It'll be our first in-person podcast episode.
Skipping rocks, dude. We'll just skip a couple rocks and we'll throw some contests for the fans that like our show. If you hate our show, don't watch it. If we sound like we're full of shit, don't listen to it. But we appreciate the support thus far. It's been fun, Case. Great show today, man. Go out and have a great hump day, bro.
I have to add before we head out, I completely forgot about the movie 42 when I said the last great baseball movie was. So I got 42 was Crystal. Incredible. So
is that Billy Crystal's involvement?
Say that again.
Billy Crystal's involvement in that one, or no?
I think he was.
Or no, that's 61, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the Maris. Yeah.
Speaking of movies, well, hey man, let me back up. Yogi Berra's documentary is out. We had Lindsay on there. It's coming to Pittsburgh June 19th, and we got Yogi Berra wine. So if you watch the movie, you want to drink some vino while you're doing it, I got the Yogi Berra supply with Rock and Ball Wines. I got to give my shameless plug for my Italian imported wine. But yeah, I'm excited. That might be something that's pretty amazing. The greatest catcher of all time.
Definitely check out that interview. You could find that on our YouTube channel.
It ain't over.
That's right. The Lindsay Berra episode. You can find that on our YouTube channel. You could follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what topics you want us to discuss. If there's any guests you want us to talk to, anything like that, whatever you want to hear, let us know. And we'll see you next week on another hump day.
Mound visit, baby. Good one.